Welcome back to another all-time most expensive transfers tier list video. So far we've done Chelsea, United, Arsenal, so it's only right we complete the big four. Yes, I said big four because for those of us who were there back in the day, if you remember, Grand Slam Sunday, it was always these three teams plus Liverpool. So if you are new here, essentially I've got 40 of Liverpool's most expensive transfers of all time, starting from the likes of the 20 mil guys like Sacco and Cisse, all the way up to your Alissons and Van Dijks, and of course the new signings like Ekitike and Wirtz. We're going to rank them from S to F based on what they've achieved at Liverpool. So of course, to clarify beforehand, the new signings, we'll rank them at the end and have a guess where they'll go. S is sensational signing, straightforward. A is like, yeah, you're amazing, great baller, just missing out on the S. B, you're brilliant, you balled out, you done your thing. C's calm. D is you disappointed. Maybe like we know you're a cold baller, but you just didn't really live up to what we expected of you. And F is just flop. Like you were just so bad. Like there's barely anything positive to say about you. So without further ado, as always, if you haven't already, get the subscriptions going. We try to cover as many teams as possible. There's even a Real Madrid version of this, so Barca fans, don't worry. Your one is coming soon. But keep it coming. Like I said, 50k subs. I'm going to start doing watch-alongs. Let's tuck in to the 40th most expensive signing. It is Mamadou Sakho. And unfortunately, we are starting with disappointment. Because, if you remember back then, when he came from PSG, guys, he was low-key a wonder kid. I can't lie to you. People spoke about him like he was going to be a serious all-timer centre-back. The way that we speak about maybe how Varane's career and that kind of guys went, we thought that would be the case for Sakho. Unfortunately, didn't quite happen for him. He still had some good moments, so I'm not going to say he flopped by any stretch of the imagination. But again, he was at Liverpool in a pretty tough time, so it's hard to really put him much higher than that. Next up, we have Djibril Cisse. This one is difficult because I'll be honest, and you guys know me, I've said it previously, one of my favourite strikers ever. Honestly, when he came from Auxerre, you know Auxerre with the white kit, with the PlayStation there, them times, I thought, yeah, this is going to be class. Unfortunately for him, the injuries, man. Look, I'm going to give him a C for calm because he wasn't there long. He did win the Champions League for Liverpool, not for Liverpool, with Liverpool. He was not the main guy that won it or whatever, but I feel like the injuries, I know he can go in deep for disappointing. But listen, when he was on it, he was really, really on it. And I think his contributions to that Champions League should be enough to get him over the line, and big up him for that fantastic MTV Cribs episode as well. Next up, we have Wataru Endo, who is also going to be joining Cisse in the C tier because he's just a calm super sub, right? There's nothing great about him, but he's not terrible either. You know, fair enough. We move on, and we have our first guy going in the F tier. This Aquilani was a flop, man. The hype around this guy when he arrived from Roma, and again, we're now at the 23, 24, 25 millions. Them times, that's still like a good chunk of money there, and it did not bang whatsoever. But especially with how much hype there was, he did not even show like a few flashes, bro. It was just bad. So he has to be the first name in the F tier. Balotelli, another one that's difficult for me because, again, one of my favorite strikers of all time, but from when he was at other clubs, right? I.e. Manchester City. What you're going to understand about me in all these videos is that I love the strikers that they have like a bit of an ego about them, but they're like a personality, you know? I keep on saying it. The likes of like Zlatan and Balotelli and all these types of guys, they just, I don't know, they move me personally as someone that enjoys watching football. But listen, coming from Milan, where even though he had left City, he was still banging in goals for Milan that time. Let's not forget about that. And at Liverpool, it didn't click, bro. I remember there was that iconic graphic of, it was him, Lambert, and I want to say Borini, where they had like 0 goals combined for like some certain period of time. So yeah, it didn't bang. No, I'm going to go disappointing because there were expectations. And again, you could see when he was in the mood that there was something there, but he's going to go on the low end of D. As a big respect for why always me. I know it's not with Liverpool, but it has to be done. Now this one may surprise you a little bit because Glenn Johnson is not really spoken about as anyone that's, you know, really serious or rated like that, but I think given the years he was there, he balled out for Liverpool, guys. Let's not forget when he had, you know, the cornrows and whatnot. He was a decent player, bro. Obviously, people may think about him more at like a Portsmouth or something, but he gave Liverpool like 6 years. That part before like the 2013, 2014 times, bro, it was looking rough, man. Some of the signings did not go very well, and again, he played, I'm sure, well over 100 games for Liverpool and at a solid standard as well. He was never like a standout, like you're the best right back in the league or even top 2. So, you know, I think that's a fair one for him. Now, this one, Thiago Alcantara. I think so far, the Liverpool fans watching, probably you're agreeing with what I'm saying, you're hearing me. You might shout at me for this one, bro, but given the expectations coming from Bayern, the way they were speaking about him like he's a top 3 midfielder in the world, I'm sorry, guys. It has to be disappointing. They were talking about how many, thumbs up he was doing. A lot of the convo that first season, they were saying that, was Thiago the right fit? Because you had that sort of rock and roll midfield with guys that, we're going to get onto at some point in this video, I'm sure. Thiago arrived, and it just seemed like the entire dynamic changed. The way that Klopp's football was moving, it changed. They were calling him, thumbs up merchant. And again, the injuries as well. Look, I know injuries are not your fault. The same thing with Cisse, like we said. Some of them, it's really, really bad luck. But also, when we have invested money in you and you aren't playing, I mean, we can't value that as a great signing, even if we think you're a good player. And again, he's a good player. He's not a worse footballer than Endo. But given what I expected from Thiago, it has to be disappointing, I'm afraid. We go to Mascherano, Javier. And this one is going straight into the B tier. He balled out. Again, he was not part of the more recent years where they're winning, Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and whatnot. But for when he arrived, and again, let's not forget, I don't want to make it about other teams, but when him and Tevez arrived at West Ham, everyone looked and said, hold on a minute, what is going on here? How's this happened? He's gone to Liverpool, he's been solid for them, and Mascherano's era, that slight bit there, yeah, around like 08, 09, when a certain striker arrived as well, and there were a lot of Spanish influences there. That was a strong period for Liverpool. They were very unlucky not to achieve anything. Look, he played well enough to get a move to Barcelona, so I think that should say enough for him. The next two, I'll be real, I think we can do them at the same time, because Stuart Downing and Robbie Keane were two players that seemed to ball out everywhere except Liverpool. Like Stuart Downing, the guy was going on loan bare. He had a couple seasons there. Look, it's disappointing. I'm sorry. And likewise, Robbie Keane, right? I was someone that in primary school, I know you're going to call me like an unk, like, I'm prepared for it already. But in primary school, I remember doing the Robbie Keane celebration after like every goal, bro. Whether it be in PE or outside, the little roly-poly and ba 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 ba. I was doing that because we know, at Spurs, even you go to like Inter, bro, the guy was getting goals. But at Liverpool, it just didn't live up to expectations whatsoever. So I'm going to go disappointing. Again, he could go flop, but I at least expected. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm going to leave him there for now because we do have someone entering flop, and that is Lazar Markovic. I'm going to say something very niche here. To my OSM players, online soccer manager, Markovic, he was meant to be the truth. Maybe for you guys that play FM, that's your equivalent, I guess. Lazar Markovic. I mean, again, the guy played 10, 15, 20 games maybe that I can remember. And then just started getting chucked on loan. To the point where when he finally left, I didn't even realize he was still at Liverpool. So he has to be in the F tier, unfortunately. We go to Lovren, and how we assess this one again is tricky because he's a bit of a meme to a lot of people, but at the same time, he was a good servant, man. I don't want to say he balled out, but I think I'm going to put him as like the face of a calm signing. Like a good servant for like, what, 6 years it was he stayed there. Did he ball out? Maybe you might put him a little bit higher in fairness because he has the accolades to go with it. But to me, again, let me know if you agree with what I'm saying here. I feel as though you could have put me alongside Van Dijk and we would have won the same things. We have someone that I've told you many times. You guys think I love teams and hate teams and have agendas. Only one player I hate. So let's just move on very quickly. This is someone that didn't win a trophy. Unfortunate. Big up all the goals he scored against like Norwich and Fulham and whatnot. But, when the lights were shining the brightest, well, we know what happened. So someone that will be joining him in the A tier though, Gini Wijnaldum, a very, very, very underrated player in my opinion. As we get onto the more like, 30s and 40 millions, you notice that Liverpool start signing players that are currently balling in the Premier League, and then they go on to improve even more so, right? I said Newcastle, the likes of Andy Robertson, who's not even on this list because he was that cheap. It started that period of, right, you know what? We're going to just buy from this league. We're not going to have any Aquilani's and whatnot. And Wijnaldum, done his thing. Again, crucial part of that midfield. We have our first player that is a new signing, so I'm not going to rank him yet until the end. I'm going to slide him to the back. And we go to Adam Lallana. For me, baller. I'm going to put him in that B tier. Again, another guy that was there for like 6 years. Hold tight the ice cream van, but I'm going to carry on anyway. This is the beauty of live recording, if you will. No editing on this one. I like the long form videos because TikTok shorts, I've noticed you, man, you just twist what I say and you get angry at me. But you long form viewers, big eye. It's enough now, do I lie? It's not even warm today, bro. Chill out, man. Anyway, what I was saying was Lallana, the Cruyff turns, fantastic. Thank you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm recording a video. I have a bit of respect. I think he done his thing. He was not, like, amazing, but he balled out. Leone will go to the back. I know nothing about him, I'll be real. So even when we get there, it's going to be a tough one. Oxlade-Chamberlain. I'm sorry to say, he's a great guy, but it is disappointing. Look, he has, I'm sure, when you close your eyes and I ask you, think of an iconic Oxlade moment. You're going to tell me the Man City goal, right? You're going to tell me a Champions League long shot. But outside of that, did he really deliver? Again, I'm not saying he was like a super expensive guy. He was, what, 35 M's or so? But we just expected so much more. He went there saying that Klopp gives me hugs and therefore I feel so loved. It's going to be incredible. Too many injuries. And it ended up being the case that we saw him more often on Liverpool's social media, YouTube, than we saw him on the pitch. So it has to be disappointing. But from a disappointment, all the way back up again into the A tier. We're going with El Nino, Fernando Torres. What, I can't lie. Tier makers making me put him there. I wasn't even trying to do that. But if they want to do it, maybe it's a Freudian slip of the thumb. Fernando Torres. I think many younger Liverpool fans than me probably would have fell in love with the club because of him. You probably missed out on, like, let's say the early Gerrard, seeing him arrive and whatnot, like burst onto the scene with the skinhead and the diving celebrations that I loved. You guys probably love Fernando Torres, and completely understandable. You think of the Blackburn goal. I mean, I can start naming goals and we'll be here for a very, very long time. Obviously, 08 times a 24-goal season. Incredible. And look, I know he went to Chelsea in the end, but as far as a transfer goes, you got back 50 million. So you've profited, and you've had a couple years of Fernando Torres being incredible for you. Again, doesn't have the Premier Leagues or Champions Leagues, but I don't want to make it purely who won the most trophies, therefore you must go up, you know? There has to be, of course, importance to trophies, but Torres was just phenomenal. I think the world loved to watch him. The Carlsberg shot, the aesthetics, they were cooking. So, big up his thing. We go to Gravenberch, and I'm going to put him in the B tier. And again, let me explain to you why. Last season, fantastic, right? Well, to be fair, if anything, I'll say the first 7 months or so, he really tailed off towards the end of the season. And I feel as though his first season at Liverpool, you know, with Klopp and that, it wasn't really working. So I think he's probably even quite fortunate, you know, to get into the B tier. But I think his first 6 months of last season were just so fantastic. And again, slight bit of future prediction. Obviously, if he continues like he did at the start of last year, he would definitely be cemented in the B tier. But I think we can agree the first year was, you know, underwhelming. And then the last few months were a bit underwhelming too. But I think I can see him being in the C tier, I'll be honest. But no, you know, I'm going to keep him in the B. I'm going to keep him in the B. And another one that you may... Listen, let's ignore recency bias. Konate has been stinking recently, but he's still in the A tier, guys. Maybe just at the edge of the A tier. I think for the age you got him at, I think for the upgrade on the likes of, again, big respect to like Lovren and even guys like Matip, and then you go further to like Ragnar, Klavan and Kyrgiakos and all these brothers, Konate is finally someone. Even Joe Gomez and Kwanzaa and etc, etc. Konate is the one that has partnered Van Dijk and has formed a formidable backline. He's won the league recently as well, so if we're talking trophies, you know, he's got a few bits and bobs there as well. And we don't know how long he may be staying for, right? If he stays for a long time, given his age, he can definitely lock up the A. If he goes to Real Madrid, I'm sure Liverpool fans will tell me to chuck him in C for calm signing, but there we are. Frimpong will do at the end. Andy Carroll. Oh, the wild story to tell about Andy Carroll, man. I repeat the same thing I said for Balotelli and these guys. I don't know what it is. It seems as though every Liverpool striker, I just love them, bro. Andy Carroll, I promise you guys, yeah, no word of a lie. Before Andy Carroll signed for Liverpool, FIFA 11 career mode, I want to say it was. You know, you could like be your own pro and you go to a team and have your career mode. I used to go to Newcastle just to play alongside Andy Carroll. Now, I got benched because they were playing 4-3-3. I think they had brothers like Now Ranger and that who I wanted to play with. They were benching me and I couldn't play alongside Andy Carroll in a 4-4-2. But I thought he was cold. And listen, I know how it turned out at Liverpool. But trust me, guys, one of the best ball strikers you will see. When he hits it clean, oh, it's sweet, bro. I was so upset he didn't make it at Liverpool, honestly. But with that being said, unfortunately, guys, it is not FIFA 11 career mode. It's real life. He has to be in the flop tier. But we go from the flops to 3 players who seem to be perfectly positioned to go in order. It's only right, isn't it? We go Firmino, we go Sadio Mane, and we go Mo Salah. The 3 musketeers. These are 3 players that changed Liverpool's life. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when, you know, Sandor Kocsis, Ferenc Puskás and Hidekuti arrived for Hungary back in 1954, that World Cup, for those of us who remember. That trio went crazy, as did this one. Bro, they played I remember Klopp genuinely, yeah, would play them every single week. You know, these three are the ones starting no matter what. He squeezed every last bit out of them. Like, you know, the toothpaste, when it's running out and you start rolling it and you start squeezing it, but your thumb starts hurting. That was Klopp using this trio because they were just, you know, that good. And again, they changed Liverpool's life, bro. To Premier League winners, to Champions League winners. Of course, amongst the three of them, Firmino was the one that I suppose you could say like started it all in terms of being one of the earlier ones to arrive at the club, obviously coming from Hoffenheim and playing as a false nine and whatnot. Sadio Mane coming from Southampton took him up a level again. But then Mo Salah, what he's been doing for the last 7-8 years now, it's ridiculous. Like, of course he's going to be the first out of these guys. There were arguments around, was it like 21 maybe, 2020, who's better, him or Mane? We don't really know. Obviously Mane went on to Bayern and then, you know, went to Al Nassr, and Salah's still here breaking records, so he has to be the main guy there for now. And I think it's fitting that the three of them cost roughly the same amount and were back to back in specific order. We now go to Gakpo, and I think, I'm sure you'll agree, it's probably a similar situation to Gravenberch, where when he arrived, you guys know I wasn't a super fan. I made that video way back during his first season about ranking, was it Klopp signings or whatever on TikTok, and I had him in like disappointing or whatever. Obviously now, I'll put him up into a B, because for sure last season he just took off into another level, and even this season so far he's racking up assists. You know, proved me wrong in that regard because I didn't rate him in the World Cup Qatar. But again, you know me, I'm a man of honesty. You guys think I'm like a troll or whatever because of what you see on TikTok. People just assume whatever they want to assume because I'm speaking very quickly and I don't elaborate on my thoughts. But if you follow me on Twitch for all the streams and then now here on YouTube long form, you know that I just say what I see. So anyway, Gravenberch and Gakpo are around that B tier, but they both have license to move up if they continue and stay and whatnot. And I think following that exact same logic, we're going to have Big Mac joining them, the three of them. Because again, I know people might say chuck him in the A tier, but please allow me to land. And if you disagree, one thing I always say, especially if a Liverpool fan, you probably will be way more locked in, of course, than I am. But debate and argue fairly, right? Don't just call me a stupid idiot or, you know, whatever you want to call me. Just say, yo, I hear it, but let me explain why he should be in an A or in a C or whatever the case may be. For me, that first season, I was not moved. And he was playing out of position, he was playing as a 6, and it wasn't banging. And rightfully, the Liverpool fan said, yo, he's playing as a 6, so like, you know, this is harsh, whatever. I get that fully. But I did not ask him to play there, right? I'm not Jurgen Klopp. I didn't put him as a 6. He played as a 6 and he was underwhelming, not good enough. But then, big respect, since then, moving back into the 8, yeah, phenomenal. We saw how important he was just, you know, last night against Newcastle when Newcastle completely steamrolled Liverpool. So fair play to him. But again, it has been, you know, a season and a half, if you will. So I'm not going to go into like the amazing tier yet. I know like Konate is in there, but I just feel as though Konate has been more consistent for more years than McAllister was, if that's fair. We now land, of course, to Diogo Jota, of course, rest in peace. And this one, if we're talking like footballistically, it's a techie one. I'm going to explain to you where I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at either the high B or like the low A as like a respectful thing in terms of how much he did for like, you know, the community and Liverpool as a whole and whatnot. But if I'm being completely objective, the same thing we did for, you know, Reyes with Arsenal, I think it's a B. Like he balled out. It was like a, you know, a brilliant signing. He was not like super up there because most of his best, you know, games came off the bench as like a really good sub, scoring goals. But he also had periods where, again, he would go 10, 15 games without a goal. So, for me, let me know if you think he can be the face of like B for like, you know, baller. If you want to put him in the low A for like personal life tax, I fully hear that as well. Maybe I can do that. Like, he is definitely on the borderline of the A. Someone not on the borderline, going into the A tier, is A for anchor. Fabinho. Wow. I think the reason why he's not spoken about that much anymore is because his fall off was overnight. Literally, like, he was an incredible 6, bro. I get week in, week out, consistency. For someone that looks like a skeleton with how skinny he is, bro, he was strong. And then 1 minute you wake up and he's rubbish. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he started changing his diet or something. I don't know, Wagwan, but that era again, you know, like 18, 19, 20 and whatnot. Again, coming from Monaco where he was balling there as well, by the way. Continued that same ability at Liverpool. won the trophies, and then just randomly woke up and said, no, you know what? I'm not good anymore. So, you know, fair enough. It is what it is. We go to Benteke, and this one, I'm afraid, is also going to be disappointing. Because this is someone that Aston Villa times, he was one of the scariest strikers in the Premier League, bro. Every team wanted him. He went to Liverpool, and I do remember him getting a few goals. Obviously, there was the overhead kick as well that he bagged. But in general, it didn't bang, guys. Koke is going to save to the end. Luis Diaz, this one could be controversial. Look, there's a lot of places I can go for this one. For me personally, I'm going to put him at the low end of C. I just can't. And he's lucky to be there. Very lucky to be there. Given how much he was hyped as well. And of course, we're now at like proper price tags as well. Where, yo, I'm expecting you to deliver. He didn't deliver as much as I would have expected. He was an extreme purple patch merchant, if you will agree. Where he would have a couple months where you're thinking, whoa, this guy like superstar winger. He's dribbling, he's tracking back. And then other months where he's just moving like some meaty player. You know what I mean? Like, how did this guy even get a job at Liverpool? So I'm going to go calm to balance it out. I think that's fair. Someone that I can't balance for, guys, is Naby Keita. And this one is definitely a unanimous F. I think everyone can agree. If I ask you to think of an infamous Naby Keita moment, all you can tell me is that shot that ballooned over the bar against Real Madrid. And by the way, this is completely off topic, but I've got a theory about IC3s taking long shots after 90 minutes. I'm not going to go into it now, but one day we're going to speak about that because I'm noticing a pattern. So my hypothesis, we'll speak about it soon. But in general, look, coming from Leipzig, I'm going to be real as well. I thought he would ball out, bro. Every compilation you'd see, you're thinking, whoa, this guy's cold. Didn't show one iota of that at Liverpool. So unfortunately, he has to go in the F. And the one sign that maybe people will cry about the most here, I'm already expecting it. It's going to be Szoboszlai. To me personally, guys, this is disappointing. And I know already there's going to be people shouting and you don't understand and you're this and you're that. But like, look at the list so far and tell me that I've not been, you know, completely fair. People was calling, no, do you know what? Disappointing. They were calling him the Hungarian Gerrard, Hungarian KDB. The only similarity he has to Gerrard is that he can fill in at right back sometimes. Other than that, doesn't even hold the slightest candle to Steven Gerrard. So look, I'm going to put him like high up so that you know he's close to making the C. But for me personally, I cannot respect someone that his best qualities is covering 11 kilometers a game. That's not what I expect, bro. They have to keep on replaying that same free kick for Hungary like 3 years ago, like he scores it every international break. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it. Now at right back, he thinks he's Trent pinging those passes to advertising boards. He leaves so much space that McAllister is the one that now has to run like a dog because Szoboszlai is pressing by himself. And everyone knows in football, it's not about who just runs around like a maniac, headless chicken all the time. You press as a unit. It's the same way Alexis Sanchez at Arsenal was pressing by himself and it wasn't working. Don't do that. So I'm sorry, guys. I don't rate Szoboszlai. I'm going to put him there. If you want to shout at me, by all means, do your thing. Next up, we got Alisson. Let's start gassing it up. You're going to be on my side again because what I'm going to say here is that he is very close to being the best Prem keeper of all time. I currently have check number 1. If Alisson can win like 2 more titles, I know it's not all about trophies, but when it comes to like appearances and clean sheets, guys, I think Alisson's nearing 100 clean sheets. He's not actually hit 100 yet, whereas Petr Cech's like over 200, I'm pretty sure. So there's a massive gap in clean sheets and whatnot, but again, we're not stats merchants. He's getting there is what I'm going to say. And he therefore, again, changed their life. Looking at Karius in that Champions League final and imagining Alisson being there beforehand, who knows how many trophies they could have won if they had got him from Roma a couple years beforehand. And the same applies to Virgil van Dijk. Now, I think we all know where he's going. It's now a question of how far high up does he go. And for me, we've broken up the trio already, and I'm going to put him number 2. I know he's the captain, but Van Dijk is someone who, sensational signing, came from Southampton. No one speaks about how he cost 75 million because when you ball out, who cares how much you paid? You've got someone that is an all-timer that is knocking on the door for all-time Premier League centre-back, you know, starting 11, if you will. For me personally, I've still just about got Rio and John Terry, but I can definitely hear, guys, if you want Van Dijk in there. That's, you know, I'm not going to say, oh, you're an idiot, you're clueless or whatever. I definitely hear it. When he's meaty for a certain few months and everyone's saying, yo, go to China, go to Saudi, you can tell, innit? Like, it's costing Liverpool games these times. Whereas Salah, every single year, even when he's dead, he will deliver you the same numbers as guys in their best ever season. So, you know, big up all of them. And Darwin Núñez, guys, can we shake hands? He's gone to Al Hilal. You don't have to lie anymore, guys. For the amount it costs, and this is the key part, the amount he costs, this is a flop signing. I'm sorry, guys. This should be everyone's sign to stop shopping at Benfica. Or someone asked me a question rather in the Q&A. They said if you had to pick one striker that when they've rounded the keeper 1v1 would miss the open goal, so many people in the comments said Darwin Núñez. And I think that's a worrying indictment on how he plays football. Flop signing. Condolences. Which means that is our list for all the players that have played more than a year at Liverpool. We now get to the 6 new names. I'm going to quickly fire these ones off. But again, don't use this as part of the video or whatever. This is just a bit of fun. Like, this is not part of my tier list. I have almost nothing to go off. But if I've got a guess, I'm going to do like this. Hugo Ekitike, I'm going to chuck him in the B tier for baller. Again, could go higher. Likewise, Wirtz. I think he's being written off way too early. I think he's still a great player, to be honest with you. Mamardashvili, I think he'll be calm. I don't really know much about him. Leone, I don't know enough about him. So I literally am just going to go calm because I have never watched him play ever. Frimpong, I don't think it works, guys. Personally, I'm going to go disappointing. In fact, I'm going to go Kirkers and Frimpong together. Nah, Kirkers in the C for calm. Frimpong disappointing. That is my overall list. Let me know what you think. Again, please debate politely and kindly. Get the algorithm booming. Likes, comments, share to your friends. Subscribe so that we can get on the road to that 100k. Keep on subscribing and I'll keep on posting these daily videos for you guys for as long as you lot continue to support. As always, follow on the TikTok and whatnot for where I have more videos, and Twitch for the live streams. And I'll catch you, man, tomorrow in a bit. Bosh.